Hey folks, Leo here once again. Welcome back to another review. Hope you enjoyed my review of The Batman yesterday, starring Robert Patterson and directed and written and produced by Matt Reeves. That is on my channel right now. If you guys want to check it out. Yeah. Also, guys, remember the channel's name is Leo McNally 983 with the mass profile picture. Now I've been on YouTube like 12 years. I've been on here for a good while. This is my new channel. I lost the account on the other one. So guys, remember, if you're subbed to this channel, stay sub. Thank you guys for 277 subs. We're getting so close to 300. We're getting there. Just bear with me, guys. I got some ideas to do more videos, and I did add some thumbnails for even just two thumbnails for like future reviews. But you're not gonna know about that yet. I don't know about that, and I did add some new thumbnails for some new animated movies I plan to review. I was gonna review like some sequels, but I figured maybe do revisit reviews on the first films. If you know what I'm talking about, if you come by the channel, if you my Disney Pixar animated reviews, the films that have sequels or remakes, I'm gonna review those someday. But right now on my channel, I've just been doing a superhero marathon. So guys, remember, if you're subscribed to my channel, click the little bell, and it will notify you when I upload my next video or when I upload a post. I mean, a post. You do a post on the community post on the community for the next review or a life update or whatever. Or if I just have something to say on there, if I don't say it in a video, I could say it in the community post as well. So be on the lookout for that, guys. Also, support my channel if you don't mind. You can also share my channel on your Facebook page, your Facebook story. It's fine with me. Support helps, guys. It really does. It just, if you like if you really enjoy my channel, just say, hey, people, hey, your friends or family, whoever, say, check out this guy, Leave Him an Alley. Yeah, his videos are long sometimes, but he's really damn good and hilarious. Sometimes I don't really think of myself as funny, but I try to be entertaining in these long videos as I can, and I enjoy doing it. So, but it's not like I do a video every 5 seconds or sometimes not all my videos are going to be long, guys. I do have future planned videos where they're going to be short. Not every video I do is long. But sometimes I can't help but go in depth because I love talking about films. I have a real big passion for it. I love talking about movies. But if you love talking about movies, entertainment, then this channel for you. So, guys, what I've been doing is a superhero marathon. I've been doing what I call the 2020s era of superhero reviews. Now, these films came out in this decade we're living in now, 2020 to 2025. Most recently, the last superhero movie we got is Thunderbolts. Yeah. But anyway, I'm now starting with the year 2020. Well, this is the second movie. This one came out in April. And oh boy, this is going to be an epic rant because I hated this film. And starring Jared Leto, I can't say the director's name or I'll say it later, but this film sucked. Tyrese Gibson's in it as well. But this movie was awful. I'm talking about 2022 superhero film Morbius. This film is the third film in Sony's Spider-Man universe. Yeah. So yeah, I did read Venom and Venom with the Corners. Now this. Thank God after this it's just going to be Madam Web, Venom the Last Dance, and Craven the Hunter. But Madam Web, thank God that didn't come out till 2024, so I get to kind of take a break from these shitty films for a while. But I heard Madam Web flopped. I heard Venom Last Dance. I've seen Venom Last Dance. That wasn't good. Craven the Hunter sucked. But I haven't seen Madam Web. But I heard it sucked, and I won't. And I'm not surprised. So this is the third film in the SSU. They call it the Sony Spider-Man universe. And from what I heard, they're probably not gonna make any more movies of this. I hope not. And guess what? This film is PG-13. You wanna know something about Morbius? He's a vampire and he's a Spider-Man villain. That's why I have my Spider-Man shirt on here. Now, if you're gonna make a movie about a villain, you need to make it rated R. Joker, from the first Joker movie, which didn't need a sequel by the way, but the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, that was rated R, and that film was great. That was a nearly masterpiece of a movie. That was a great film, really good acting, a really good story. When you make a movie about a villain, you need to ground it a little more. You need to make it more rated R. You don't have to make it realistic, but you can make it rated R and bloody. You can say Morbius is more of an anti-hero, but still, it should have been rated R. You don't PG-13 him. When you're making a movie about a vampire, from Dusk Till Dawn, those movies are better than this. But George Clooney, even the sequels from Dusk Till Dawn 2, Texas Blood Money for Dusk Till Dawn 3, I think it's called The Hangman's Daughter. I'm not a big fan of the third movie, but I could watch it over this. And same thing with the second movie with Robert Patrick. I love Robert Patrick as an actor. He's a great actor, in my opinion. I'd rather watch that. You know, Ghost of Mars with Natasha Hendricks, gorgeous one, by the way. Hendrickson and Ice Cube. Happy birthday to him, by the way. His birthday is his birthday. Ghost of Mars. That's a movie I like with vampires. There's a movie think called John Carpenter's Vampires or Vampire whatever. I don't look it up right now, but there's just plenty of vampire movies that are better than this. Way better than this. And I'm not talking about warm bodies, whatever you want to call that movie. You don't really care to see that. Or Twilight. Oh no, not those kind of movies. This is just up there with Twilight as being an awful movie. This film was just a quick cash grab because Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man Far From Home, No Way Home, those made like $1 billion at the box office. Cool. So Sony thinks, well, Venom movies didn't do too bad at the box office wise. So let's just make some movies up about other villains. So let's do that with Morbius. Let's fuck that up. Yeah, and of course they do. From what I heard, this movie went to theaters twice and flopped. But the character of Morbius, let me talk about the character just for a little bit here. He's he's basically a tragic sympathy adversary of the superhero Spider-Man. He's a tragic character. I've seen this character like in Spider-Man the anime series, where he comes in like to do some lab work. He meets Peter Parker, falls in love with Felicia Hardy. There's a bit of a love triangle there. He gets bitten by a vampire. I think in the show becomes a vampire. Spider-Man has to stop him, and eventually, he, meet, Felicia becomes Black Cat. He teams up with Blade. But for years, though, Morpheus clashed with Spider-Man and other superheroes, occasionally regaining his reason and helping those he regarded as allies. He's considered a conflicted and brutal anti-hero or a tragic character. And I've seen him in the Spider-Man 3 video game. I hate the movie. Spider-Man 3 is definitely better than this, but that film still sucks, I think. I still don't like it, regardless. Both films to me suck. Or boring. But at least that movie had better action in it and better CGI. And music score was good, too. So I can give some of that to Spider-Man 3. Oh, gosh. Well, Jerry, you're making me feel short. But yeah, he looks pretty cool in the comics. He's got superhuman strength, stamina, speed, agilities, healing, flight. The character Michael Morbius is a famous biochemist who contracts a rare blood disease, which he then tries to cure by using a combination of chemicals, electroshock therapy, and samples of vampire bats. It mutates him into a living vampire, a life form with abilities and traits resembling, but not identical to, those supernatural undead creatures such as vampires. To keep his blood disease in mission, Morbius must now regularly feed on fresh human blood, or face rapid illness followed by death. Morbius' mutation affects his ability to reason with experiencing hunger. This leads to blackouts and acts of violence that result in murder and villainy, followed by periods during which he regrets causing them. The mixture of electricity and Spider-Man's blood restores his humanity for several years, but he later reverts to being a preserved vampire. He debuted in the Amazing Spider-Man 101 issue comic in 1971. His creation followed the comic book self-censorship. Yeah, yeah. Here's some pictures from the comics with Morbius. And a bit of an anti-hero and a villain. He's basically both. Well, just an anti-hero. That means he can be a villain and a hero, kind of an anti-hero. So let's get into the production of this movie. So, development. SG Entertainment announced a deal with Marvel Entertainment in May 2000 to co-produce, finance, and distribute several films based on Marvel Comics characters, including Morbius, the Living Vampire. Chris Garrett, he was set to appear in Blade, which it would have been really cool if Blade Trinity didn't suck and they would have kept doing Blade movies. We probably would have had Morbius in the film. That would have been cool. Oh, Blade 1 and Blade 2. They're better vampire movies. They're rated R too. Portrayed by director Stephen Norton in a cameo appearance ahead of a larger role in a sequel. However, the character was cut from the first film and did not. It was not introduced in Blade 2. They kind of had a character like Morbius in that movie. A different kind of vampire, but was definitely more interesting. Get over the mouth a little more. You know, people want to crap on Blade 2 for CGI. I'm like, come on, this film has the CGI in this film is awful. Mm, really bad. In May 2017, Sony announced plans for a new shared universe featuring Spider-Man beginning with Venom. And of course, we got Venom in 2018 and Venom with Every Carnage. They only made money because of the title, because the public characters they are. Later titled the Sony Spider-Man Universe (SSU), if you will. Spider-Man: Homecoming director John Watts expressed interest in featuring Morbius and Blade in the return in the Spider-Man Far From Home, believing that the character's dark tone could work within the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe. That November, Matt Shazam Burke Sherpless submitted a script to Sony for a Morbius film. After a secret development process at the studio, Joe Liller became loosely attached to starring the title role, but would not commit to the film until he was happy with its direction. He has to personally meet with several directors candidates. By the end of April 2018, Sony had approached Anouk Kobok, I can't say the name right, about directing the film. He directed the film like The Replacement Killers. That was with Jay Sean. Michael Rooker was in that movie. And Training Day. I heard that was good. Let's see, Training Day. Yeah, he's directed some movies I've probably never seen. But I'm sure they're better than this. He expressed interest in taking on the project and said that if he was to make a film superhero genre, what he wanted to make is something that's closer to what I get excited about. He ultimately chose not to take on the project. Other directors of films that include first that was the film included F. Gary Gray, who did films like Friday, The Italian Job, the remake, the Negotiator, which I watched that movie. First time watching that movie this week, it was actually pretty good. Yeah, so Men in Black and Fate of Furious didn't care for those movies. But I did like The Italian Job. I didn't like Charlize Theron in it, but I did like The Negotiator. That was real good. He considered directing the film but only turned it down, and Daniel Usna, who previously directed the film Life, which is an alright movie, for the May, while touring Germany with his band 30 Seconds to Mars. Leto met with him to talk about the film, and the pair were both confirmed for the project. Avi Albert, Mark Tomish, and Lucas Foster are producing. Filming was expected to begin by the end of 2018. Sony was expected to fit the film and it's already set Marvel slate short. Pre-production. By the end of September, Sony was intending for the new film taking place in Atlanta, Georgia, where Spider-Man: Homecoming and Venom were previously produced, but had not had a release date for the film. Creator Cooper Hood optioned that Sony was likely waiting to see the response to Venom in early October, with Aviavar confirming that at the time there were excitement as Sony to produce Morbius. So it's the story of a healer that becomes a killer, and how do you deal with that? Tomish said the project was very far along. At the stage, and they were not planning to begin filming in early 2019, with the intention that Morbius would be the second film released as part of Sony's shared universe after Venom. He added that Leto was bringing the same intensity to the film that he had brought to playing the Joker, and yes, he did play the Joker for DC, and he was awful in that. I thought he was kind of good though in his short cameo in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but he was horrible as the Joker. I'm sorry. I think he's the worst in my opinion. By November, all that chit chat's gonna get you nowhere. I'm like, oh. By November, box office believed that Venom had been successful enough for Sony to move ahead with the films like Morbius. At the end of that month, the studio dated a Marvel film that was believed to be Morbius for July 10th, 2020 release. Of course, at the time when COVID hit as well. They negotiated portrayed the film's female lead, Martina Bancroft, and her involvement was confirmed a month later when Sony pushed the release date to July 31st. The film may begin in London in February 2019 under the working title Plasma. Oliver Wood served as cinematographer for the film, which would be the last he would do before his death in February 2023. The star of the film, Jared Harris and Tyrese Gibson, joined the cast as Michael's mentor and an FBI agent hunting down Michael, but that's Tyrese Gibson's character. He played a cop in here. Though he's later revealed to be playing the original character named Milo, who is similar to Brown. At the end, Justin Hake, who was lead to have the film script. Sony announced a new agreement with Disney that sent a previous deal to have Marvel Studios and President Kevin Feige produce a sequel to Far From Home, keeping Spider-Man and Marvel shared universe in the MCU. As part of the new agreement, stated that the move forward, the MCU Spider-Man will be able to cross cinematic universes. Yeah. The film's first trailer released in January. Yes, for the trailers, though, for the marketing. When you do the trailers and you see Michael Keaton say, Michael Morbius, we could be friends, which you don't see that in the movie. Spoiler alert. Yeah, there's going to be spoilers in this review. Spoiler free for you here, folks. Some of Keaton's scenes had to be reshot when the events in Spider-Man No Way Home happened. Did not conceive with Morbius. Keaton admitted that he was hastily informed of the reason for his character appearing in Morbius. Added that even they couldn't quite explain it, which, yeah, it didn't make any sense, but I'll get to that later. They probably It probably made sense to him later because they probably gave him a really good paycheck for it. Certain moments, though, such as Michael walking past the painting Spider-Man, was added in the film, but only to be removed in the final film. And we're finished a month later when film productions around the United States were halted. But the film did get halted due to the COVID-19 pandemic. At the end of March, the film's release date was pushed back to March 19, 2021. The film did get pushed back a couple times, as did others from superhero movies like that I've mentioned in these reviews of 2020 because we did have COVID that happened, at the beginning of this decade in 2020, and then the film was delayed again, first October, and then to January when No Time to Die was removed to October. Leto revealed that reshoots were taking place, so yeah, you can definitely tell that this film did get some reshoots. Then he got moved back to again. Yeah. John Eskin did the music score for the movie, the marketing. I just remember the teaser trailer and the trailer for the movie. Michael Keaton being there. And I think Larry Jarrow did like a cleaning ad commercial for the movie. Yeah. Which kind of didn't really, I don't know. I felt like Sony didn't really market this film. They just gave us trailers. And a lot of people might not know who this character is. Yeah. Yeah. Morbius grossed $73.9 million in the US. It got the experience dropped by 74%. The second worst of all time for a superhero movie, behind only Still, and the worst of any superhero film. Well, it didn't really get, yeah. It fell sixth place at the box office the third weekend. Then the film, yeah, so the film flopped the first time in theaters. Then Sony announced in June that they would release it again in theaters. But the decision was met with criticism from outlets, which speculated that the release was because Sony was aware that the internet trend was not due to probably towards the film. Yeah, yeah. One critic said that Morbius is a lazy and inspiring script, and added that no way or depth is given to any character. I agree. The humor in the film, and then when he tries to make a tongue-in-cheek joke, well, it fails miserably. I agree. I'm just reading what some critics are saying. So that tells you something when you put a film like this in it twice. That just tells you, it says a lot. It was a commercial failure, receiving criticism for the writing, visual effects, and post-credit scenes. Although Smith's performance received some praise, which I don't get that, but okay. If they received Golden Raspberry Awards like including Worst Picture, Leto did say there was potential for the character being played, but I kind of doubt it. But it still would be cool to see, but they need to just erase this film. Oh, and they wanted to make a sequel called what was it? This Morbius sequel. I'm trying to look at the title of it. Thought I read a title somewhere for it. Well, I said that doesn't matter because the sequel's probably not going to happen. If you want to redo some of these characters, add them in a Spider-Man film. It just makes more sense. And don't be like Spider-Man, like Spider-Man 3. But anyway, for the cast of the movie, you have Jared Leto as Dr. Michael Morpheus. Jared Leto. Now, I'm not saying he's been in bad movies. Like he was in American Psycho. Remember? Hey, Paul. You know, yeah, yeah. That shit. That was him in American Psycho. He was in Fight Club. Was that with Edward Norton and Brad Pitt? Oh yeah, it was okay. Chapter 17, Panic Room. He was in that. He used to play one of the villains. Yeah, that was a good movie, directed by David Fincher. He was in Blade Runner 2049. I mean, he was good in that. So I like Jared Leto in some things. I don't like him in. Yeah, I know he's in the method acting. With the character, though, he's a scientist suffering from rare blood disease, who attempts to cure himself, a the form of vampirism, genetics. I can't say the word for it, but he tries to put like vampire blood in his body to make himself better, and it doesn't really turn out well for him. Yeah, and Charlie Shotwell portrays a young Michael. See, this actor was like in The Glass Castle with Brie Larson, My Days in the Mercy, Eli. Uh, but yeah, I heard that Jared Leto was a method actor. And I don't mind that that can be good, but still, I can tell Jared Leto's trying in this film. He's really trying, but the film's story and the direction and script were not doing him any favors. Were not good. And from what I heard, he liked people to call him Michael on set of the film. Yeah, that's how much he was into the character. Matt Smith as Milo Morbius, Lucian. Michael's surrogated brother, a wealthy man. I mean, Lucian nicknamed Milo by Michael. He suffers from the same blood disease as well. He gains the same abilities as Michael, but he embraces the identity of a vampire wholeheartedly. But he becomes the villain of the movie. I don't know why critics praise him, but I think he was in, from what I heard, he was in Doctor Who, something like that. English actor, yeah. I don't get why critics praise him, but that's just me. Adriana Arnold as Dr. Maria Ravencroft. Oh, she's the fiancée of Morbius. But the actress plays her. She's a very beautiful woman, though. Yeah. She played Dorothy in the Oswald adaptation of Emerald City, Good Times, Pacific Rim Rising. This movie, haven't seen her too many. Jared Harris is Dr. Emil Nicholas, a mentor and a father figure for Michael and Milo. I think I might have seen it. I think he was in Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows. Yeah. Let's see, any of the 80s or 90s. Blue in the Face, Tall Tale, Father's Day. Funny. Oh, Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. He was in that with Robin Williams and the late Robin Williams and Billy Crystal. Never seen that movie. I want to though. And Sherlock Holmes, he plays Professor James Marty. He's like to Sherlock Holmes. He's like Sherlock Holmes' Batman, for instance. I mean, he's like Joker to his Batman. That's what I'm saying in that movie. The Man from Uncle. I think I remember him in that movie. Al Mitchell as Al. He was in Night School Snaps the way back with Van Affleck. He was good in that film. That was a better movie than this, I think. Tyrese Gibson as Simon Stroud. He's also a character from the comics. He's a mercenary trained by the CIA as worked alongside Spider-Man and Black Widow. And he's going after Man Wolf and Morbius, the living vampire. Okay. Tyrese tries in this film. Tyrese, I basically, my first time seeing him was Too Fast, Too Furious. He was in Fast 5, Fast 6, Fast 7. Probably continued doing the other freaking Fast and Furious sequels that we don't need. I think I also remember him movie called Waist Deep. And he's pretty good in that. And he was in Right On 2. But I like Tyrese Gibson. Yeah. I like Too Fast, Too Furious. That's a better movie than this. It's PG-13, but it's still an entertaining film compared to this. I won't be surprised if he does Fast 12, 15, 16, whatever movies they're going to make. Anyway, and also Michael Keaton does have a cameo in the Miss Christopher scene. J.K. Simmons did have a cameo, but it was cut. But you do see newspaper for the Daily Bugle in the movie. Yeah. And the film was directed by Daniel Espinal. I never heard of this guy. He's a Swedish film director. He directed Child 44, Safe House with Ryan Reynolds and Denzel Washington. Easy Money. Was that with Joe Kinnaman? Yeah. And Life, which was more of an alien ripoff. That movie wasn't very memorable, in my opinion. And the writers were Matt Shazam, and they wrote The God of Egypt. God of Egypt. Never heard of it. Dracula Untold, which I heard that movie sucked. The Last Witch Hunter. Vin Diesel. I heard that movie sucked. And Power Rangers 2017. Yay. And they wrote Madam Web too. So you know, Dracula Untold, Last Witch Hunter, Gods of Egypt. I'm sure. So it's just you have writers from those two movies that came out 2014, 2015. Vin Diesel. I'm sure those films suck. Yeah, from what I heard. Oh. Way to go, Marvel! You chose the best writers in the world to write a film like this. Produced by Avi Edward, who I blame for these movies. He just seems like he just does it to sell the toys and get a paycheck. He doesn't really care about Marvel. He's been working with Marvel since the first Blade, since 1998. Like X-Men, X2, X-Men United, Blade 2, Spider-Man, Daredevil. Pretty much all the Marvel movies, you know, since the last one, since Kraven the Hunter. And he's going to be working on the Legend of Zelda film and Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse will produce it. He's produced some of the Marvel animated films. Will be an executive producer, I mean. until this, and wrote some of the story for the Invincible Iron Man. He produced Ultimate Avengers the movie, Ultimate Avengers 2, Rise of the Panther, Doctor Strange, and the Sorcerer Supreme. Yeah, I feel like he's running Marvel too. And I've heard he's a bit of a jerk too in real life. I don't know. Matt Thomas, like I said, I think I've heard this guy's name. He wrote the script for the, you know, well, not wrote the script, but produced the Amazing Spider-Man films, which I do like. Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, Venom, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, The Next Level, the sequel to that movie, and also Venom: The Last Dance and Kraven the Hunter. Lucas Foster, who's produced movies like Lisa, Harlem Walking Tall with The Rock, Man on Fire with Denzel Washington, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Jumper with Hayden Christensen. He's also an executive producer on first Bad Boys movie, Crimson Tide, Dangerous Minds, Van Wilder, Jeepers Creepers 2, cinematography by Oliver Wood, which is cinematography for films like let's see, Die Hard 2, sorry, Die Hard 2, again, a better movie than this, you know, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, better movie, Rudy, and those films have some great cinematography in those too. Celtic Pride, decent film, time waster at best, but better cinematography than this movie. The Adventures of Pluto Nash, I heard that was not a good Eddie Murphy movie, but I do like I Spy. Yeah, with him, with Eddie Murphy. Born Identity, National Security, Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, Fantastic Four, the 2005 film, The Bourne Ultimatum, Anchorman 2, Jet Reach Never Go Back, and I guess the last movie we're on is Morbius. But anyway, edited by Petro Scala, I can't say the name right, Jackpot, JFK, Good Will Hunting, hated that film, love Good Will Hunting with late Robin Williams and Matt Damon, that's a great film. Body of Lies, the first Kick-Ass movie, which I don't like. The Amazing Spider-Man, first one and two. Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man didn't have not the best edit. It's 13 Hours to Go to Benghazi, Michael Bay movie. The Gray Man. The music is by John Excorden, who I've never heard of before. Child 44, Life, working with the director before. All the Old Knives. Production companies are Columbia Pictures, Marvel Entertainment, Air Productions, Matt Tillman Productions. It's shipped by Columbia Pictures Releasing. It was released April 1st, 2022 in the U.S. Again, for the second time. The budget for the film was $83 million. But the budget is estimated to either be 75 or $83 million to make the film for the budget. The box office made $167.5 million worldwide, so it was not that big huge hit. It was considered a flop. I say it is, yeah. Might have made money, but they put it in theaters again and it flopped again, so technically the film was a tank at the box office. Where's the sequel at then? Yeah. Yeah. Tom Holland does express interest in him as his Spider-Man character fighting Morbius in the future film. But I guess nothing. Yeah, it was reported that Kraven the Hunter will be the final film in Sony's Spider-Man universe, and any possibly sequel to Morbius. Yeah, why? Because Kraven the Hunter was a film that sucked as well. Yeah, and that film flopped even worse than this. That's why. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna tell you the story of the movie. Or let me give you the plot synopsis of the film. There will be spoilers in this video. You can stay for this part for me talking about the plot synopsis. Ain't nothing for me. I'm just giving you the plot synopsis, telling you what the film is about the story. And again, you don't PG-13 a character like this. This film was just forced. Yeah. The Batman might have been long, but at least the Batman had a good story. And at least felt darker. It felt like a rated R movie almost compared to this. This movie, you just toned it down. You watered down the character. Yeah. Yeah. I blame Sony. I blame maybe Everett. I blame Sony in general. Who just make these movies because they want to catch up with the MCU. I'm sorry. Because the MCU, their has made a lot of money and became a huge franchise with over 20 or 30 something movies now. Well, it was 20 something by then, 20, like 26 films. So yeah, Eternals, but that flopped. Eternals sucked because their movie, well, it's a Spider-Man one, which made billions also in Avengers Game, which in Infinity War, a lot of the Avengers movies, a lot of them pretty much have made billions of dollars. So I think Sony's just trying to catch up. Sony's just trying to, well, not catch up. They're just saying, well, we need to make the movies about this so we make the money. They're just thinking about money. They don't care about the characters. They just say, let's just put in this and we'll make money. Yeah, let's just make a movie about Morpheus. Yeah, yeah. Same thing with Madam Web. Let's make Madam Web. After this, I think Madam Web came. Nobody really knew about who the hell Madam Web was. So what was the point? I guess it just proves my point that that Sony's just doing all these movies for money. Eventually, they kept on doing it. They go out of business, and I hope they do because they screwed up way too many times. They want to do it again with some other franchise. They can't have these Marvel movies anymore. They'll do it with some other movie in the future. But anyway, the story of the movie is that it tells the story of Michael Morbius, who he's basically dangerously ill. Ever since he was a child, he has a rare blood disease disorder. He's determined to save others from the same fate. So Michael, in a desperate attempt, you know, he shoots himself up with this serum of vampire blood, vampire bats. It does seem to be a radical success, but he has a darkness inside of him as soon as released. And Michael is soon turned into a vampire. And a lot of the times he just wants to suck on blood or have blood. And he kills some people by accident. And he doesn't want to do that. Yeah, kills them in a PG-13 way, by the way. But kills them. Then his brother Milo, played by Matt Smith here, also gets the serum. He's got Tyrese Gibson, who's after him, thinks that he's a murderer. And Matt Smith is his brother Milo, who takes the serum. Milo goes insane, loves being a vampire, and starts to enjoy killing people. He enjoys the power. So Michael has to, you know, take down his brother. He has to take down Milo before Milo kills any more people. And he has to, of course, find a cure for his disease in the meantime, and stop his brother and take him down once and for all. For he also takes down or hurts people, people that Michael loves, loved ones and friends that Milo can get to as well. So he has to stop him as well, and that's the plot for you. That's the story. Yeah. Now I want to talk about the movie itself. And guys, if you've never seen the movie, turn yeah. So Michael is disgusted by his own bloodlust, by the way. He chooses to accept his fate and prey upon criminals who he deems who he deems unworthy of life. Which, by the way, the movie doesn't go by that. You know, if you think Michael Morphy is just going to be some kind of hero and go after criminals, you're going to see a lot of it. No, you don't get a lot of that. You just get this lame story in this film that makes no damn sense. Yeah, like I said, this film was PG-13. They watered down the character. If you want to make a vampire movie, you can't make it PG-13. It just doesn't work that way. It's kind of like this film is trying to be the director. It does feel like he's trying to build suspense in the movie, but does a horrible job of it. I just felt boredom. But anyway, let's get to Michael Morbius, please. I'll go ahead and just shut up and start talking about the movie itself. So again, if you've not seen Morbius, starring Jared Leto, turn the video off right now. Go watch it. If you got Disney Plus, watch it on Disney Plus. Then you know what I'm talking about, how crappy it is of a film. Yeah. So the film pretty much opens up with Morbius going to like out of the country. He's going like to the jungle or whatever, and he's walking on canes because of his rare blood disease, the sickness he has that's killing him. Yeah, and he goes to this cave, like these caves of bats, and he's able to snatch them from. I guess he's in Africa, wherever the hell he is. And then the film, then it opens up with the title Morbius, and then you get to 25 years earlier, where Michael, who is sick, he meets Milo Lucian. He's like, "My name is Lucian. We'll call you Milo. We'll call every Milo here." Yeah, I mean, I forget the other Milo, another Milo. So I guess instead of a hospital, it's a freaking cult or something of a hospital. Yeah. But they name him he names him Morpheus. Michael names him Milo, and we're supposed to believe that they're brothers. But again, the film doesn't really have enough time to breathe, if you will. Excuse the pun, but breathing, if that makes any sense with this film, or let you really suck it in with the story. Because this film, even the story feels rushed. Because you see Michael in the beginning, touching this, getting the vampires, like you see in the trailer. He grabs the vampires. If you think he was gonna become, no, this film definitely tells an origin story. You see Michael as a kid, Dick, and Lucian. I'm sorry, Milo passes out, and Michael's like, "Doctor, doctor," and then he like plugs him back up, fixes his thing, and Jerry Harris is like, "Wow, that's impressive, Michael. You're great. Even though my scientists have been working on this for years, well, your scientists, Doctor, here, your scientists here suck. Your doctors suck." Plus, when he was calling Doctor, I'm like, what if Milo had died? These doctors have no way. Don't doctors have like in hospitals line up for patient's room if they know you're passing out or having a seizure or something where they take care of you? And I hear they don't. These are for like children that are sick. Wow, these doctors and scientists, you suck. It took a 10-year-old or a 9-year, 8-year-old kid to do your job for you. He's like, Michael, you're a genius. We're gonna send you to special school. So he does that. And Michael becomes like a very famous scientist. You see him like win an award, but he's trying to, he contacts Milo. He's like, writes him a letter, says, "Brother, I'm gonna fight for it." Even though I don't, they've only met each other for what, like 5 minutes, and he's calling him brother already, which doesn't make sense. I'm gonna risk you, save you, even though I've only met you for like 5 minutes. I don't know you hardly. I'm gonna save your life. That doesn't really make sense. You need time to breathe for a story. I don't see no brother the moments of them becoming brothers as kids. I would care more if you added more into that into the story. But of course, Sonny just screws it up because we need to have a brother story. I'm like, I watch Brother Bear then. Brother Bear does a lot better. That's Disney, and that does a lot better. At least it took time. It had a better story. Yeah, it could be a little weird, but it's better than this, I think. But Milo, he drops in outside these bullies that make fun of them. He goes to the bullies. Hey, he's like, you may know they, he hits one of them with a cane, and they attack, with his crutches, his one kid in the face. They attack him. This one kid's like, Milo, stop, stop. I'll take care of you. And like I said, Milo becomes famous. He's working with Doctor Martinez Ravencroft, and she's helping him work on the subject. I mean, on the Jennifer Blood work. He's like, be careful. He's got like this big tank that is of the bats, but he's Costa Rican. Okay, he's been to Costa Rica, but he captures these bats to cure his condition because he's going to try to use their blood for it. I guess he's since during all these 25 years he's been trying to find a cure for him and Milo, and this was probably the only way. Even though it was illegal, he's still willing to do it. But you have this little girl in the movie, which she's like sick and dying, but I didn't care about this little. The little girl that played wasn't bad, but if I was supposed to feel something for this little girl, which they don't do nothing with, I guess they're trying to show us that Michael Morbius, despite legal stuff that he does or who he becomes, that he's a good man inside. I guess that's why they have a kid in here. That he's a doctor and he helps people. Okay, we were just trying to show that he's a good guy. And it seemed like in the Spider-Man animated series, he was an asshole. But this movie's just trying to shove it in your face. Like, oh, he's a good man. He's a good guy. Anti-hero. Okay, I get it. This film is heck bent on him making him a superhero. Yeah. And plus, what I keep forgetting to mention, without on my shirt, without Spider-Man, without Spidey, this character shouldn't exist. Yeah. Kind of would have made more sense to have him in a Spider-Man movie in the first place. Yeah. Stupid. But Milo, I mean, Morbius goes to visit Milo and Nicholas to let them know about it. Milo's like rich or whatever, so he can fund his research for it. Been doing it for years. He says, "I'm going to cure us, brother. I'm going to cure us of our sickness. We're going to be better." So they have to go in international waters. They have to go on a ship to do this experiment, test it on himself. The LSU Monroe, they go on this ship. They prepare to do it. They got these men working for them. Uh, it does work. He kind of, she puts the ceremony in his back. He's like, and starts having seizures a little bit. Uh, then Michael turns into his vampire form. When yeah, you see that vampire come out of him, but you know this one guy who walks in there, I guess one of the mercenaries, whatever you want to call them, people that hired to protect them, I guess, whatever. Guy walks in, tries to flirt with Martine. She's like, leave, go away. And the actress, I do think the plays she's a beautiful woman, by the way, like I said. Nice ass, too. But regardless, her and Michael have no chemistry. It's just flat. She's just a forced love interest in here. But anyway, the guy tries to mess with her. Then she knows that he's not in the cage or the behind the mirror. So they go check in the vault in the room that he's in. He's up there. The guy tries to shoot at Michael, but Michael, like, PG-13 kills him. And the mercenary's like, get back. And they push Martina, knock her out. Michael breaks out, attacks them. And I swear, this scene, the fight scene here sucked. It's really bad edited. And you, again, anti hero, no blood. It would be like Blade, the first two Blade movies, or even Blade Trinity, if you made them PG-13 and you didn't see no blood at all. This film doesn't show that. And it's got slow motion scenes of Blade, not Blade, Morbius. It's like Daniel Espino, whoever the hell the director's name is. It's like he took mighty inspiration from Zack Snyder. Because a lot of the fight scenes in here are slow motion shots sometimes. I'm like, did you desperately take that? And somebody will task these guys. He's got more guys coming. And this is trying to, where the director likes to say, he's trying to build suspense, and it's like, what, five guys? I just don't remember. He attacks them one by one. This kind of reminded me of Batman Begins. I was, by the way, happy 20th anniversary of the movie. I still don't care for Batman Begins very much, but I can handle watching it over this. At least that film tries to tell a story, despite, how boring it can be and awful editing that film has too. And some of the CGI is even bad in that movie as well, in my opinion. But despite that, at least Batman Begins tries. And this film, I felt like was ripping off Batman Begins a little bit with the whole thing trying to sneak around and he's like hiding in the shadows. Like, kind of reminded me they're trying to do Batman Begins, trying to build suspense up, and it doesn't work. You know, you're trying to be suspenseful. Come on, the Batman was worse. Batman being in the shadows. My Robert Pattinson's Batman walking out of the shadows. That was more suspenseful than anything in this scene. They're trying to make it suspenseful. The last guy's like crying, and Morbius, and it's horribly edited. Michael wakes up later. He's back to his normal self. He's like, Martinez, you okay? You okay? Caesar passed out. Checks out on the security footage. Realizes that he killed these men. He throws up about it, and he escapes off this ship. They land somewhere. Eventually, the cops get involved. Tyrese Gibson, his character, gets involved with his partner, talking about what they're going to happen, and that these men were drained of their blood, and they're like, "Oh, vampires!" And I didn't believe it at first. He does erase the footage though before leaving and escaping. He does contact the authorities, but he does jump off the ship. Yeah. Oh, then he goes back to his lab, but he has to, you know, he's wearing like a hoodie in the movie at the time, like this. Well, as you can see, yeah, he does wear a black hoodie, trying to hide from the cops, trying to go do tests for himself. Figures out that he has like a bat radar sense. He's trying to sense his powers and of these abilities that he just got. He's trying to test himself. Being a scientist, what does he do? He tested on himself. Test his body. See what he can do. He's got like bat radar. Like he throws a ball and the ball's bouncing and he hear from the radar and he catch it, or he can jump and he's got to avoid trying to, he's got to keep the blood vessel or whatever that thing you got, like blood bag or something where it's, let go the blood. Otherwise, he'll kill more victims. Yeah, yeah. Milo comes over eventually later and says, Michael, 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 it's like blood, blood. And he gives him the blood, the pack of blood. And he's like, you took the cure, you're safe, brother. Well, give me the cure. I don't want the cure. It's like, I kill some men. Milo, believe me, you don't want this, Milo. This rips off the Amazing Spider-Man. Do you remember when Harry wanted Spider-Man's blood because he was sick? You're just ripping off that, which I prefer Dan DeHaan to even be better than Matt Smith as an actor. I don't like this British actor. He's like, then he's like, we can take care of that, Michael. We can take care of that. I can set it up. You know, we can pretend like it never happened. I have the money. It's like, no, it's not worth it, Michael. It will affect your body real bad. He's like, I can't do that. I can't. You're not getting it. And he's like, oh, but you get to live. You get to live and I don't. That's not fair. You know. He's like, get out, and he shows him his vampire face. And Milo leaves. He's just trying to protect him. Same thing with the Amazing Spider-Man 2. You're ripping off. But then the agents, Tyrese Gibson and his partner, they talk to Martina. They try to ask her, that she knows Michael Morbius. She's like, I don't remember. I blanked out. Even though you tell she's lying just to protect Michael. And then eventually, like, Michael was back in in the hospital where he's working at to do these tests on himself, trying to find a cure of this vampirism. He feels better, but he realizes that if he doesn't get rid of it, that if he loses those blood bags, he will go after more victims. Then this film tries to, like I said, it has a horror element to this nurse at night. She's, the lights are flickering. She's like, who's there? She's like running. And the film is trying to try so hard, like the director's trying to make it like a horror movie as well. We'll have horror elements in it. But she gets attacked, and we are believed to believe that it's Michael. Spoiler alert, it's Milo. Milo took the cure. I don't care. Because it's going to be spoilers review. Milo, I don't know how Milo did it, but somehow he was able to get the cure. I guess he was able to steal it from Michael's lab. Somehow. Yeah, and Michael sees the aftermath, realizing that he needs to get out of there, look for a new lab. Then he gets confronted by Tyrese Gibson. With this hearing, he hears that there's been a death up there, and that they think that it was him. They're like, "You're coming with us." And then this is a scene where he runs from the building, knocks some cops down. Well, he knocks Tyrese and his partner down just very easily. As he's pretending, they're asking him questions like Tyrese Gibson's like, "Oh, thanks, you saved my arm or whatever when I was in the war." Which I'm like, okay, I don't get that these two know each other. Why did it? Why couldn't it just been Tyrese Gibson as the cop after him? And if it was in a better story, if it was, you know, if the two maybe would have gotten along. I don't buy them like knowing each other. This film is just forced. I don't believe them by knowing each other. It's like we're saving people again. They just set out Morbius to be a good guy, to be a good doctor, a good man. That's what they're setting out for him to be a hero. Just a tragic one. But then he's able to like, I don't know, there's like 15 stories or 13 stories of this building that he jumps up there. And like I said, slow motion scenes, folks. The scene that I'm showing you right now from here, slow motion scene, crappy CGI looking face. He tries to get away. He nearly falls back, even though he can fly. He doesn't fly. So Tyrese points a gun at him. Even though I'm thinking, would a bullet really hurt him? Even though he could easily just attack him or even bite him. But of course, Morbius just gets up. He's in jail. We see him in a jail jumpsuit, writing a story. Writing a book for some reason, talking about how he's going to get out of there. He's going to get a lawyer. Cops talk to him. He says that he needs the blood. He tells me he needs the blood bags. I'm sorry, that's episode. I need it. And I was like, and I did think it was funny though when the guy that was his partner in the movie, Tyrese's partner, he like his top partner. I mean, Bryce Holy was like, "Holy water, really?" I thought that was funny. He's like, "Well, yeah, you might need it." They question him, it doesn't work out. They put him back in his cell. Then he's a prisoner at this Manhattan detention center. Then he gets met by Milo, who poses as a lawyer. He's like, "I'll promise to get you connection." Like, here, Michael, something table thing, gives him a blood bag. And Morpheus realizes something, and he sees that Milo left his cane, and you see just him, him just walking out smirking. I'm talking about Milo. It was like, he sees him like cane, and he realizes that he took the serum. Again, I don't know how that happened. I don't remember. Maybe I missed it, but I don't know how Milo got it. Unless he has somebody who works for him, like his security guard guy that calls him a cripple in the beginning. Maybe he snuck in his lab and stole it. I don't know. And realizing that he most likely that was Miles that killed that nurse. And what he's like, Michael, and then he turns into his vampire self and he breaks his jail cell, starts flying, and the CGI, it's like when he's flying, the CGI is completely awful. And then when he's able to hear him, you know, also he enjoys the power. Milo thinks that we can live with vampires and do whatever he wants. He enjoys killing people as well. Like he just confronts this guy who he doesn't know, selling newspapers or magazines. He's like, that Michael Morbius guy, is insane. He's like, you can't justify like take me for instance, and then something the vampire then kills the guy off screen, PG-13 style. And he's like, Milo, you took the serum. He's like, yes, I did. But you wouldn't let me have it. Michael, this is who we are now. And the two have a fight in the subway. And Matt Smith, I don't know why Chris Christopher, he's very over the top and silly in a bad way. As soon as they fight in the subway, he's like, yeah, we live to rule, we live evolution, baby. And, he's like fighting with more of these cops. He's like, okay, officers, I give up. Toying with them, then they try to arrest him. He catch the cops. And he's like dancing over it. He's like, we get them, don't we, Michael? We won't power them. And then Michael tries to walk away. He's like, Michael, Michael. And he's like, he wants Michael to join him, that they can do whatever they want. He's like, Michael, we can do whatever we want. We can become powerful. We got all this power. We're immortal now. We can do what we want. But he's like, no, Michael. He's like, no, this ain't the way. Um, but he's like gonna come after Michael. And as he's running, apparently, I guess Morpheus has the power to stop time for a little bit, like he's the Flash. Flies out of there again. When he's flying, when it's like the stuff that comes out of his body, it's not like a vampire flying. It doesn't have a like a Dracula cape or anything. That would have been cool if he would have got his costume from the series or have wore like a black jacket or something. But Morbius doesn't do that. He does here, but it's not cool enough in my opinion. And he flies away from Milo, you know, and Milo tries to go to the bar. Well, Michael tries to do more tests on himself. Uh, Milo goes to a bar, tries to pick up this girl, but I guess these guys who like her or is friends with her tries to refuse him, even pushes him, and he's like, "Well, okay, good luck, friend, thank you." And he sees him later, and he again PG-13 kills this guy off the bar. The police get footage of him. They think that he's just a copycat murderer, though, not knowing that he's the real murderer. Then Nicholas, Jared Harris goes to meet, realize that Milo is the murderer. And he's like, "Hello, Jared." He's like, well, you always like Michael better than me. You always loved him more than me. You gave him a chance to be a great scientist and all that stuff. You love him more than me. He's like, oh, that's childish, Milo. I love you more if anything but you. And he's like, no, I'm gonna make Michael I'm gonna force him that we're gonna be vampires, that we're immortal. I'm gonna force him to believe in this. And he tries, and he's like, but you're not gonna get my way. And he like cuts him and he pushes him away. Injured Jerry Harris, injures him. Michael, by the way, I forgot to mention, meets Martina. He tries to make a joke that I'm not that kind of vampire. He's like, I'm gonna he can get some stuff from the lab boy. The cops are like chasing her down. Diary's his partner, but she escapes out of a gas station, out of the store. Sorry, the store, like a mini store or whatever. She escapes with that a bus, talks to Michael. That's when you get the Daily Bugle paper, referencing character being a Spider-Man character, of course. Anyway, he follows this guy. Morphe's like, okay, I'm taking your lab. You take all the money, but everything else to me, and leave all the candy and stuff too. And he's like, and the guy's like, you're not taking anything. Crushes his arm. He's like, what are you going to do now? I was like, who are you? I'm Venom. I'm like, that was a stupid joke. So he breaks was like, then he starts building his lab to find a cure for himself. And Martina helps him. And she like cuts herself. She brings Tyrese keeps in his smart to find her, but she left, but I don't know where she went. Because I see the killer there and no cat there, so she must have with the cat. Of course, she cuts herself. Michael sees that, he smells that, and he sees his vampire's like this. Look at her like he's gonna get his like Michael, calm down, calm down. They talk on the roof. They share a kiss. Which I don't really buy them having any. They don't have any chemistry. But then Michael gets a call from Jared Harris, from Nicholas, telling him that you got to stop him, and he dies of his injuries. And you also have a scene where she does think in Michael's lab, but then talking about Martinez, Milo sees her, and Milo's like, "You know where Michael's at?" I said, "Yeah, where's Michael?" She still, I don't know. Of course, he knows she's lying, but he's got other plans for her, so he follows her. He's like stalking them and watching them. Then Milo kidnaps Martine and forces her to call Morbius, which worked, but and then I guess Morbius has to kill her. Well, she's dying anyway, and he has to suck on, feed on her blood, sucks her blood. He's like mad. There's also a scene where Milo forgot to mention. I don't know why any Spider-Man films are related villain movies. Starting with Spider-Man 3, you know, he's doing a dance, just he's Chip and Dale, just you know, doing all these moves, which is really silly and stupid. But anyway, back to the confrontation. After he bites Martinez, killing her supposedly. After he kills Martina, they fly. And again, slow motion shot. The editing is horrible. It's basically ripping off Zack Snyder with the slow motion shots. They crash on the ground. Then he's about to get to Morbius. Morbius is injured. They fly down a bit, which is again slow motion shots. Michael's able to get into the water like contact bats. Kind of remind me of Batman Begins. Where Batman flies down the flight of stairs. Well, glides down the flight of stairs. I'm sorry, because Batman ain't got no powers. But anyway, he gets swarms bats with home. They grab Milo, and Morbius grabs a spear. I guess a stake through the heart. As you say, that's where Morbius, and stabs him with a spear. He's like, Michael, you don't need to kill me. Yeah, you know, and pretty much it killed. So Milo dies from getting stabbed with a spear. Morbius flies over the bat. It's like kind of like Batman Begins with all the bats flying. You know, they really try to rip off Batman Begins there too. And all the cops looking like Morbius is our hero. What's next? We're gonna have a Morpheus kind of bat signal going on. Morbius just flies over the camera. He's just flying away. Then the film ends there. Martina wakes up. Apparently, she's I guess gonna be the vampire character from the comics. And the sequel that probably never again will happen. And then the movie ends there. They need the two post-credit scenes with another universe. Adrian Toome is transported to another from Spider-Man No Way Home, which again he doesn't know where he's at. He's in prison. He's like, where am I? Yeah, eventually we see him in his new cell, on TV. It's all about he transported there. Then he later meets Morpheus to team up against the cause of the mess he thinks is Spider-Man. And then Morpheus just applies. Yeah, Morpheus is driving a car like in the middle of freaking nowhere because he's so dumb. Yes, you're dumb because you meet somebody, Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture, by the way. Mel Keene's character, you know who that is, Adrian Toomes, the Vulture. He was in Spider-Man No Way Home. I mean, Spider-Man Homecoming, the first one from 2017. But Mel Keene, like I said, probably thought this was pointless, but again, did it for a check. This makes no freaking sense. For number one, Morpheus doesn't know who Adrian Toomes is. You remember in the Spider-Man No Way Home movie with the villains? They don't even have no idea who each other are because of universes, but and here like they know each other almost. And he's like, well, let's team up. I'm like, first of all, why would you trust him? I really expect it would have been cool if him and Morpheus would have fought, or Morpheus would have attacked him. And he's like, I think it's Spider Man. I'm like, Morpheus doesn't freaking know him. Michael doesn't know him. He's never met Peter Parker. Oh, that's because we're trying to share you, Sony. We're trying to share a universe together. It makes no sense. Yeah, Marvel should have fought a little harder. to make sure that they don't make these movies. But again, Marvel couldn't stop them because they didn't really have the power. Sony kind of still own them. It would have been a power grab. Not a power grab, but it would have been a lot of lawsuits going on. But yeah, they did these movies just to make a whole bunch of money. You know. But again, it makes no sense because he doesn't know who Spider-Man is. There is no Spider-Man in this world. You cannot have Morbius without the character Spider-Man. They meet in the comics, like I said, but I'm sure they meet in the comics. They fight, and here they don't. So what the heck is the point of adding? It was just for fan service. They do the same thing with Venom Lifted the Carnage, where Eddie Brock doesn't have no idea who Peter Parker is, and Venom's like that guy. Venom, you don't know that guy. Same thing with Michael Morris. Like, yeah, I'm in. Why would you be in, dumbass? You don't know who he's talking about, you know, and you just trust a guy in a vulture suit, you know, who you don't even know, you've never met, you probably never heard of. You know, it's so stupid that post credit scene. Yeah, and that's the end of Morbius. Okay, let me finish this crap up, please. I got things to do later. I gotta be at work tomorrow in the morning, so let's end it with this BS movie. So my final thoughts on Morbius. I hate this film. This is one of the worst superhero films ever made. I'd rather watch Batman and Robin. People say that's the worst. I'm like, no, this is one of the worst. Like, this film is just awful. I hated this movie. Well, for one, it's boring. The story's not good. Yeah, I agree. The character's not developed. There is no real chemistry between the characters. Everybody here, well, again, like I said, Jared Leto, he tries. The direction. Espinal, he did a terrible job directing. The script sucks. Making the film PG-13 makes no sense. And not having the character with Spider-Man doesn't, Spider-Man has to be there in order for Morbius to exist. You bring him to a Spider-Man movie, and then give him his own spin-off movie. Then they were to make it, which makes no sense. The story sucks. Again, I get it. He gets red blood from disease, but it has to do with meeting Spider-Man and sucking people's blood. But they don't do that in here. And the story just didn't make no sense. They gotta give him a brother Milo. They gotta show that he's healed people, saved people. They're trying to show us that Morbius is a hero, but I don't think he was really like that in the comics. But in this film, they make it out to be. Because they said, let's make it PG-13. Let's make it a big superhero fight between brothers. And, let's make it a big superhero movie because it'll make a ton of money. So let's just throw Morbius in here. It's like they just picked the character from the comics and Sony's like, well, we did two Venom movies. Let's get Morbius and make a movie out of him. Let's see what we can screw up next. Which was then I think Madam Web, the last Venom movie, which is the only part of this trilogy, these Sony Spider-Man first movies that got sequels. And this film hopefully, yeah, thankfully was a flop because it did go theaters again, and it for a second time, and it flopped. It's boring. The story makes no sense. Jared Leto tries. Matt Smith is awful. I don't know what critics praise him. Jared Harris as Nicholas. He tries. Martina, the actress, like I said, she's a very beautiful actress, but she's just flat in here. Her and Michael, their chemistry is just falls flat on the ass because it just makes no damn sense. I don't buy them being in love. Tyrese Gibson's trying, but he even looks bored. He ain't there for a cameo, but more like just let a bird fly on my shoulder. I'm just bored out of my mind, and I'm just here because I'm getting a good paycheck. So yeah. But yeah, the action sucks. It's slow motion shots. The scenes are like in slow motion. It's like a Zack Snyder film. You know, and Michael goes into the tank like these bats are my friends. Kind of again when bats are flying in here. I swear some of those scenes remind me of Batman Begins. This film is clearly trying to rip off Batman Begins. This reminds me of that. Batman Begins is better, although I do think it's an overrated movie. You know, but at least Lemmy Neeson was a good villain in that movie. Yeah, I didn't like the way Scarecrow looked, but at least Cillian Murphy was good. Jared Leto again, he's trying in here. Some actors in this movie are actually really trying, but the script and the story makes no sense. The film doesn't feel fleshed out enough. It really doesn't, it doesn't really suck you into the story enough for you to care about the characters. Yeah, I don't care about what's going on screen. Michael being sick. The film just jumps to point A to point B to point C to point everything real quick. You get everywhere with the movie's just kind of like everywhere with a story. Desperately trying to make you care. A lot of stupid stuff in this movie is stupid. Cinematography is nice though. Guy did cinematography, he did good. The editing is just awful. Sometimes it's like really shaky cam. And the music score is completely forgettable. Any songs I don't remember at all in this movie. Yeah, the film is 104 minutes long, about 1 hour 44 minutes, I think. But all that time is boring. I was falling asleep during this movie. I had to rewind it a bit because I forgot what scene I was at. And other times I'm thinking to myself, I'm just waiting for this movie to be over because it's boring. The cast looks like they're bored. You know, the direction, the writing, the people that worked on this movie are just wasting time. A.B. Edwards seems like he's just counting the money behind the scenes, just forces these Marvel movies down your throats just so that they can make some cash. Yeah, I think it all started with him with Spider-Man 3. I think he just got really greedy that these Marvel movies probably make him enough money. So, yeah, and Sony just wants to force these movies out because they think, well, we could be a big universe like Marvel, which won't happen because MCU has many more movies than you because their movies were being hits and successful. Your movies come out, maybe Venom, just because the title, and having Carnage, but your other movies like Morbius, Madam Web, Craven the Hunter, all three films, even Madam Web and Craven the Hunter, I believe, all flopped. So when you have three movies that flop, they can't make another one because when it flops miserably, you're not going to be making another movie. No, they try it again, and then it flops even worse. They can run out of. I believe they will run out of business eventually. Yeah, or they can just try to make another movie, or just try to leave Spider-Man alone. I'm not sure about Spider-Man Brand New Home. I hope it's good. I will like a good Spider-Man movie. Like I said, Morbius. If I want to see him done right, I'll just watch the anime series, or hopefully someday play Spider-Man 3, the video game. I like what they did with him in there, and you had to fight him as Spider-Man. That was cool. But in the black suit, yeah, you could do much so better with this character. This film really was a failure what it did with the character. So Morpheus. So I don't know what else I can say about it. It's just a boring, lame, stupid movie. Yeah, that maybe okay. I like Jared Leto in this film. He's trying. Tyrese Gibson, Jared Harris, Mark Dodges plays Martina. They are trying. Matt Smith was just the worst part of the cast for me. They're there to try, but they do look bored, and it's just a horrible direction, story. And some of the cinematography is nice, but the action scenes suck. The editing sucks. You know, the music score is forgettable. Yeah, it's just a forgettable movie. Yeah, it's short, but the whole movie, those 104 minutes, or will bore you to tears because the story is not interesting at all. Yeah, I'm not saying the film has to be rated R. It just doesn't have to be rated R. It should be rated R. It doesn't have to be rated R to be good, but you have to have a good story that I'm invested in and characters I care about. I didn't care about this movie at all. That's why this is a failure. So Morbius, my rating for this film, I'm gonna give Morbius a thumbs down, and my rating for this film is 1 out of 5 stars. Because there were a couple things I liked, a little bit like I mentioned, but I can give some more credit where credit is due sometimes for a movie. But still, this film is awful. Regardless, in my opinion, this is awful. If you like this film, I don't know why. I mean, teach his own. But my rating for the film again is 1 out of 5 stars for Morbius and a thumbs down. So guys, if you've seen Morbius with Jared Leto, what do you think of it in your opinion? And what do you think of these other Sony Spider-Man universe movies? In your opinion, how would you rank them from worst to best? Or how would you rank them at all? None of them are best. How would you rank them? Or do you think all these films, including the Venom movies, Morbius, Madam Web, Craven Hunter, have you seen all of them? Do you think they're all awful? Do you think they're just crappy films? Tell me in the comments down below, guys. What do you think of it in your opinion? And do you agree with me that Morbius should be in a Spider-Man film? That would make more sense. That he should be. If you're gonna introduce this character, put him in a Spider-Man movie. Yep, I think so. Alright guys. So for the next review, this is an MCU movie. I think this might be the 28th. Yeah, this won't be around. I saw this film in theaters actually, back in May of 2022. Yeah, yeah. That film. This is the 20th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe (MCU), starring Benedict Cumberbatch and Elizabeth Olsen, and also directed by Sam Raimi. Yes, and that is so. The next review, I did a revisit review on the first one, but this won't be a revisit. This is a review for the sequel. That is Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is coming up next, guys. So I might read this film tomorrow. I don't remember this being too long a movie, but hopefully I'll be able to review this tomorrow. So Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange the Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange 2, if you want to call it, whatever. Yep. This will be next. So stay tuned, guys, for Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness. Sorry, which will be next. So stay tuned for that. And again, my rating for this film, Morbius, is 1 out of 5 stars and a thumbs down. And let me know what you think about the movie in the comments down below. And stay tuned, guys, for the next superhero review, 2022, the 22 superhero review. This film came out in May, and that is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness coming up next. So stay tuned for that, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you later. I'm just doing a bit Doctor Strange. I'm sorry. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye bye.